Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing lady. Her name is Zeenat Siman. Did I say that correct, Zeenat?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Aw- Awesome. I'm very excited to have you here. Audience members, I saw Zinat in some of our networking events, and I thought that her message was powerful, that you needed to hear about it. So here she is. Without further ado, welcome to our show, Zinat. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you got involved in doing it?
Thank you so much, Dr. L. It's wonderful to be here. So I'm a professional home organizer, which means that I help moms and their families to organize their home so that they can have a home that they're really proud of. They can be happy to have anyone over anytime, and so they can really enjoy living in their home. I'm an engineer and I work for a large food company, but when we had kids, I decided to stay home with them. And I really wanted that experience with my family. And we were lucky enough that financially I was able to stay home. So by the time we had three kids, they were all really young. Our house just felt like a mess to me. And we had a cleaning service, but I always felt like my house was messy and out of control. And I was struggling because I wanted to make our meals at home, cook healthy meals for all of us, but I couldn't seem to do that. It was always rush, rush, rush. And I would find myself yelling and feeling frustrated and angry. And after a while, I saw that the problem was with me. I felt like my house was out of control. And I was angry because here I was, an educated woman. I worked in a very technical field, and I couldn't figure out how to keep my house tidy and cook a meal in a day. So I just realized that I wanted to simplify everything so that I could really have control. The simpler it could be for me, the better. So I studied everything that I could get my hands on about organizing and simplifying, and then I just got to work. And after I did this, and it took me years to get to where I am today, because I was doing it myself, piecemeal. But then I wasn't embarrassed to have friends over anytime anymore, even friends without babies, right? And I could choose what I wanted to do with my time, whether it was cook a meal or go to the park or work. So 5 years ago, I discovered NAPO. NAPO is the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And I realized that this was actually an industry and I wanted to be a part of it. I figured out how to do it for myself. And I got the training and the business structure that I needed from NAPO. And I wanted to help other women do the same. So I started Firefly Bridge Organizing.
Wow, cool. I think we all need more organization in our life and
All
in
the
our
time.
homes and our business. So cool. Now, I know I've heard this before, but people talk about how when you have clutter and when you have organization, those kind of things affect your performance and, like you said, productivity. And also for kids, this is really important because now more than ever, the demands on children is there and is a lot basically. When we're
Right.
asking them to be productive, but then we're not exampling, being a role model or giving them examples of how to do this, that can cause a lot of frustration and affect their productivity as well. So,
Absolutely.
tell us a little bit more about some of the typical challenges that you see when people come in and seek your advice and assistance.
Well, a lot of the times, the moms who come to me, they often see their cluttered homes as their failure. And there's a lot of guilt around that. They just have no time for tidying up. They've got kids, they're working, maybe they're working full time.
Right.
And look, who wants to be tidying for hours? Like no one. So, and then they don't know what to do about the clutter. Should they keep granny's porcelain dolls that they left to them, or which papers can they shred? How do they keep their kids' clothes organized in their closets? Like all these questions that they have, and it's just there's no time to focus. And that was clearly where I wanted to be, and so I took the time and I studied and I researched and I figured out how to do it. For a lot of these moms, this is not what they want to do. They want to live their life, and that's why I want to help. I want to help them get to that point where things are in control and they're able to just enjoy the house that they're living in and choose what they want to do with their time.
So, one of the things that I often hear, especially with kids on the spectrum, is that organization. And what happens outside is a reflection of what's going on in here as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Is that your experience as well, as far as what's going on?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a lot of studies and a lot of studies have been done about this, but the the correlation between clutter and mental health. And it's anecdotally we know it to be true. We see it every day in our own life. When you come home and there's a pile of dishes in your sink or mail all over the counter, there's always that internal stress that's happening. And it's not always because I can put a pile of mail into a stack of mail into a pile on the corner of the kitchen island, and essentially my kitchen is organized. But that pile is still sitting there. My mind is still trying to process that. Is there something important in there? Is there something wrong? So even if I'm not actively focusing and looking at that pile of papers, that stress is still there with me. My mind is still working on it. And the same thing happens with kids. The more that they see, some kids can function with toys all over the floor. But if you'll notice, oftentimes that only lasts for a certain amount of time, and then they're off to something else. I need to find something else to do, whether it's an electronic or I mean, they grab paper and pencil. It There needs to be they need to have a shift to something that's a little more compartmentalized, a little more controlled. So yes, the impact of clutter is visible with parents, but it's also visible with kids. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that brings up two other questions. One is that sometimes I hear people talk about, well, I'm organized, it just doesn't look organized to other people. They know where everything is, it just
They know
doesn't
where
look
everything is.
tidy. And then on the other hand, you've got groups of people that want things just clean and just like there's feng shui and all these other things involved with it. What do we subscribe to? What is like the pros and cons of each, I guess?
It's only what works for you is the right answer. There's no one way to be organized. There's no one way to function. Now, what often happens, a lot of my clients will say, oh, well, for example, this morning, a man called me and said, my wife wanted me to call you because my daughter and I like things, we collect a lot of things, but she just wants clean and fresh and clear. What do we do? What do we do with all our stuff? And the answer is not, well, you got to get rid of everything, or you have to keep everything, she has to live with it. The answer is, where is the compromise? How can you display and honor the things that you want to keep in a way that's still not cluttered so that your wife can enjoy living in her home? And there are ways to do that, of course. I mean, we all know that it takes time, it takes a little bit of planning, but these are the questions that you have to ask yourself. How do I function at home? And so those people who I know where everything is and it's all a mess, if they are happy and they're able to function in their homes in that way, and it's not bothering anyone else, then that's the way that they should live. They love their home in that way, and that's perfectly fine. If on the other hand it's like that, where I can find everything, it's all a big mess, but I'll never have a dinner party in my home. Do you want to have a dinner party in your home? And if you do, then let's do something about the dining room. But otherwise, go for it. Live the way you want to live that makes you happy. It doesn't have to look like Instagram. It just has to work for you.
I love that. I love that. One of the challenges I personally have had is every time I organize, I actually have difficulty finding the stuff because I didn't
Oh
have
no, oh
a
no.
system in organizing.
Right, it's the systems, right? The systems have to be in place.
Very cool. All right. So, Zeenat, can you tell us about some of the tips that our audience members, our overwhelmed parents, can actually utilize immediately after watching this so that they can start moving in the right direction in
Right.
finding peace and calm in their
Right,
house?
right. Well, one of the things I always say is people come in and they'll tell me, oh, I don't even know where to start in my closet. It's all a big mess. Don't look at your closet as one big, huge thing. Look at your sock drawer. Let's start with the sock drawer and let's go through and decide, how many pairs of socks do you actually need? How often do you do laundry? If you only do laundry once a week, well, then maybe you need 7 pairs, but maybe you do laundry less often. Do you need black and blue socks? Can you live with just black socks? Those are the questions to ask yourself. And the idea here is not to get rid of stuff, but it's simply to move stuff out of your home that you don't use, that aren't serving you, and that are just taking up space. The space we have in our homes is finite. Like we can't, we're We're not remodeling every year to increase the space. And if you see, you will fill whatever space you happen to have in your home. You have an empty drawer before you know it's completely full. So the idea here is to organize the spaces that you have in a way that's functional for you and really paying attention, intentionally keeping only the things that serve you and that you use and that you love. You might have, I see it all the time, 5 pairs of scissors around your house. And I would say this is one thing that I do. Okay, 5 pairs or maybe more, because when you have kids, there are scissors everywhere. And then the one moment when you need a pair of scissors, you can't find where they are in the entire house. Keep one space for your tools, your utilitarian stuff, the scissors. The scissors will always be in this drawer, in this location, in the dining room, kitchen, utility room, wherever. And having that one consolidated space means, like you said, I've organized so much and I can't find what I need. But if you have one space, one go-to space, everyone in your house knows that that's where the scissors go. So after they've used the scissors, no matter where they've used them, they come back to this one space. So start small, spend 10 minutes on your sock drawer, and then think about where you have scissors, screwdrivers, needle and thread in your home. Consolidate those to one spot. And those are just the simplest things to do. And you'll find that once you start with those tiny little things, 10 minutes at a time, you'll be able to continue to the next little section of your closet, the next little shelf in your utility room.
I love that. I love that. Any suggestions for little ones as far as making sure they put things back where they get it from and things like that?
Yeah, I mean so a lot of that is habit driven, of course, but the simplest thing to do, especially for very young kids, is to have open bins, open containers, where all they have to do is to pick up the toys and dump them back in there. We can't expect 5, 6, and 7-year-olds to line up their little cars on a shelf the way that we would like them to be seen. So for things like that, it's best to have these open bins, open containers, and maybe you put those in a closet. You can close the door, or maybe into drawers, and you can close the drawers so they're out of view. But as as long as you give them an easy way of putting those away, they'll be more happy to do it. Because imagine if you ask the 5-year-old to put away your cars and it takes them 20 minutes to put away their cars, it will never get done again. If it takes 5 minutes and they're happily singing, they'll do it again. They'll be more likely to do it again. So
That's
open
very
bins, no lids or difficult things for them to access. Just toss things in there and they're put away. They're more organized that way.
That's a really important point. Thank you for sharing that. I'm pretty sure that there are tons of information and these little helpful tips that could really make a big difference in people's lives and their frustration levels. So, Zeenat, how can people find out more about you?
You can find me on my website, fireflybridge.com, and also I'm on social media at Fireflybridge Organizing. And feel free to message me.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Guys, I definitely highly encourage you guys to go ahead and connect with Zeenat. I'm going to put all the information that she just mentioned and then some in the description box of this video. This is one of those life habits that if we can go ahead and instill it early on, it would be so much better for our success, for our overall mental health and productivity. So I think this is something that everybody on our network and our family can benefit from. So definitely connect with Zeenat. And also, Zeenat, thank you so much for spending this time and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here. I'm sure your schedule is much more organized than mine is. And I actually look forward to more opportunities to have collaborations and show our family members how to go ahead and best utilize your services as well. Also, guys, if you have not already done so, make sure you click subscribe. You get the latest on the experts, the information that comes in and the gifts that they bring to our channel. And before we go, Zeenat, any final words for our audience members?
Just get started. It only takes 10 minutes to get started.
Yes, get started. That's what it's all about. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And until next time,
Thank you.
cheers.